Hello, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Programmers Week, Day 5. First, let me introduce myself. I'm Meghasri. You can address me as Megha. I'm a test engineer, basically works on functional, automation, and performance test. I joined Softvision in the month of Feb 2021, and it's a pleasure to be part of this program this week. I thank you all for joining this amazing session. And trust me, this is going to be informative and you'll enjoy this. So mostly I'll be discussing about, it's mostly it will be a theoretical. So what exactly, RPA developers and data scientists. So what are their roles and how important it is when these two teams collaborate. So let's discuss about that. Okay. And you might be listening to RPA developers and data scientists in this current market. So these roles are very pays more, and they are playing a very major role in the current market, especially when it comes to the e-commerce portals. So you might need some business analyst with a good data science background. So it's like a hot cake in the current market. So let's go one by one. So this will be my agenda for today. So we are going to discuss about the role of an RPA developer and data scientist. So next it is going to be why there is a reason why most of the companies are underestimating data scientists. So let's look into that. And even RPA developers also misunderstand data scientists, and how these two teams complement each other, how we are going to break down the wall between data science and the RPA teams, also the RPA and data science adoption map, and the design pillars, and the collaborative use cases, and finally the conclusion. Okay, so before we move on to knowing the roles of RPA and data scientist, how do we actually start looking for these roles in any organization? So that is very important. So why it is important to hire RPA developer or data scientist? So imagine, like, you are a chief financial officer and the next quarter is about to start. So the previous quarter was good, but your gut says that the next quarter will be better. And in this perfect world, you would shift from instinctual optimism to a back-end position, and you can predict so many things, and you would know from day one like how much money your department will have on hand by the end of the quarter. So you know exactly like what you can budget for and what resources you can dedicate in the next quarter. So by combining this predictive capabilities of all this artificial intelligence and machine learning along with the automation, so you can bring this high value information to your fingertips. Okay. However, there exists a divide. Okay, the two teams that tackle these complex data challenges typically don't work together. So that is what I'm talking about, the RPA developers and data scientists. So these are the two major roles where they play the major role in looking into these complex data challenges. Okay, so let's go one by one. So what is the role of a data developer? So before we look into this, I just wanted to show you some slides. Okay. So here, if you see this example, I'll walk you through this. So this is a use case where a real-time scenario happens. So for example, we have a SAP, and where we create invoices, and we send an email on day-to-day basis based upon there used to be a manual process, and it is going to be a repetitive process where users do the repetitive tasks continuously. It's not going to be a different task. It's going to be a repetitive task, and to automate such process. So I just want to tell you the difference between what is automation and what is RPA role. Okay. So in general, automation is nothing but we automate a web application or any tool, any Windows based or any web based application. But when it comes to the RPA role, majorly they automate the process, like manual process, whatever we are doing, the routine day to day, like sending an email, something like, data entry, something like that. So scanning, we scan some data and we enter, we give the input in some data entry portal. So these kind of process, manual routine processes, we can automate and get rid of the manual task. So we create so many bots over there. So using RPA, there are so many tools available in the market, like Blue Prism, UiPath, so automation anywhere. So these are the three roles currently in the market. They are playing the major role. They automate the process. Like if you look into this example here, we are creating the invoices. Okay, and the first step would be open SAP and log into that. And your second step is open invoice and scan attached Excel template. And your third step would be perform different checks to determine the quality of the data from the Excel template. And then enter the invoice data from the Excel template into SAP. Next, we send the request via email to invoice requester to adjust specific invoice data. Next, we create invoicing document and correctly save for sending. And then we send email of confirmation and close all the applications. So this is going to be a routine task that a person is going to do this. And how exactly we are going to automate this process. Okay. If you see this, if you look into this is the SAP application, and this is a Blue Prism, where we automate the process, the RPA process. Okay, so we automate this entire, the left hand side manual process. This is the right hand side, it's the automation process. So what we are going to do, so like I said, we open this SAP and we log in. So that's a manual process. We are going to open this portal and we are going to log into that, and then we scan the invoice, and then we scan it and attach it into Excel template, and then from that we extract the data, and then we're going to send out an email. So this is, since this is like like just let us short down to some 2 to 3 points instead of 7 points. Only I will just explain into 2 to 3 points. So we open and log in, and then scan this and get the invoice data, and then send an email. Okay, these 5 steps if you consider. So this process involves a lot of applications here, and all these applications can be captured using this Blue Prism tool, and we are going to build out scripts using this flowcharts. Okay, it's trust me, it's going to be very easy and simple, and you don't need the programming knowledge basically to write these to develop these flowcharts. So all you need is the application. If you have some hands-on, that will be very good. So you can see it on the right hand on the left hand side of this screenshot. So this Blue Prism tool, you have all the tools over here. So you can, all you need is you have to make use of all these tools, and you can build this flowcharts. Okay, so this process, if you are imagine, so like 100 persons are doing this manual process, and here one bot is going to replace that 100% job. So it's very simple and quite easy. So this is how the robotic process automation works. So what did we learn actually from this? Okay, so primarily the responsibility of this RPA developer is, so they design and innovate and implement new RPA systems. So like I said, they are going to design the bots. Okay, we have the bots within the Blue Prism tool. So they're going to automate that entire process and create a bot. So one single bot can replace multiple users. Like if you want to replace 10 users, it can replace that 10 users. So all you need is the number of users that you have to input over there. so that it can do the 10% job. Okay, like that we have some limit, but we can create n number of bots, and then we can replace the manual process. Okay, and also we have other responsibilities like enabling high quality automation using quality assurance process and preventing potential complexities. So here, we do QA checks. Like, it's not going to be a single time process. We have to do a lot of checks on a routine basis, because even though you know the manual process, what is going to happen, what is happening in your current business process. So, but you might need to prevent some complexities in order to, trust the bots, like the process that you are setting it up, and you might use a lot of if else statements, some lot of conditions, while conditions, so many looping statements that you might include. So to in order to make sure that the process is in good quality, we have to run these bots on a daily basis in a lower environment, and then we will be moving it to the production. Okay, first, if everything looks good in the lower environment, then we will be moving that to the production. And also some other responsibilities, or like we design the business processes for automation. So it's nothing but design processes in the sense, business processes in the sense, like currently we discussed about the creating the invoices. So that comes under financial department. Similarly, we have so many areas where we can explore the RPA, like HR department, and we have IT also. Some routine processes, DPOs have. So there will be a lot of routine processes going on. So we can just replace with this RPA tool. So this is going to be the future. So that is for sure, and because these bots are very powerful, and you can see how it is going to work. So maybe when you get some time, you can just explore on how exactly these bots are going to work. You can watch some videos if you want. You can just contact me. I can share you it. And also we can develop some process documentation to refine business processes by highlighting some mistakes and successes, some alternatives. And we can provide some instructions and guidance for process designing as well. So this is how RPA developer works. So it's like automating at a high level. I can say the major role of an RPA developer is he will automate the manual process. It's not an application; it's a combination of more applications. Okay. And moving on to the next slide. So we have role of a data scientist. Okay. Before we move on to the knowing about the role, let me walk you through. So for example, so here if you can see this, so there is a person who is a data scientist. Okay. And what is the major role of data scientist? So that, for example, that person is going to analyze a business problem. Okay. So why exactly there is a lack in the business? So to do that, she needs to analyze the data. So what is happening in the business, and she needs to question the client side. So how the business process is happening, and she needs to understand the end-to-end flow of the business. It's not like only the data part and all. Also, she must understand end-to-end flow of the business. So basically, she'll be asking too many questions to the client. Okay, and once she gets the questions, whatever the queries that she raised, she get it clarified. Then she will start acquiring the data. Okay, like basically the data you can acquire from web servers, logs, databases, and APIs, online repositories. It's not only that; lot of applications plays a major role in order to acquire the data. So it's not going to be an easy thing for any data scientist. Okay. Because that data can have duplicates. The data can have some junk data. So many problems, hurdles might be there while collecting the data. So she might need to clean up all this data and then make it very perfect in order to build some data models. Okay. Also, while doing the data preparation, yeah, she will undergo the data cleaning and the transforming. So we have so many tools available when you're transforming the data after cleaning the data. So we have to ensure that the data model is sorry, there was a breakage in my network. Okay. So coming on to the data preparation. So we clean the data and then we transform it. So once we are done with that, so the data modeling. So here, if you see this, look at this, what exactly the modeling and comes under data modeling. So there you can, a lot of things will play a major role here. So we have to build a decision tree. We have to, analyze the data, and we have to analyze which model will suit the best. So for the business requirement, so a lot of things you might need to look into and come to a conclusion. So which will be the best. So once the data model has been finalized, you have to train the models on the training data set and then test them. Okay. So basically, you can test them and you can select the best performing model. Maybe you can use Python language or any R programming. So these kind of languages will help you to do the best in order to train the data set. Okay, once we are done with that, you will be visualizing and communicating. So when you are visualizing, so here the visualization in the sense, whatever the data modeling that you have done already, so you have put together everything and you are going to present it. So, in the form of chats, I can say. So there again, some other tools will come into picture like Tableau, Power BI. So these tools will these are also very powerful tools, and these also plays a major role in visualizing and communicating this data. So you will put together everything into a single place and you are going to display it to the client. Okay. And then once this is done, so this after this is done using some powerful tools like Tableau and Power BI, and we will be deploying and maintaining. So this is like a it's a cycle. So this continues again from the beginning. So here you might be seeing, so it's not an easy job for any data scientist to do this kind of, you might be seeing some repetitive tasks here. If you go through this, so here the data cleaning and this data modeling. So if you finalize this data modeling and you know that what suits the best, so you know what is the process. So you can actually look into this. So you can just make a note of this point and we can discuss about this later. Okay, you are seeing a lot of repetitive tasks here which data scientist is undergoing. Okay, and this is like a routine process that which data scientist is going to play. Okay, so what did we understand the major role of the data scientist? So he basically analyzes and handles vast amounts of information to find patterns, customer behavior, trends, and potential risks in the market. So like we saw, so many things he has to undergo. It's not a single application or single portal where he gets information. Too many things. So he has to write too many algorithms and patterns in order to finalize the data model. Okay, and other responsibilities. Other responsibilities like to implement data science techniques like machine learning and artificial intelligence. Also to understand, select correct potential programs and algorithms for different business tasks, and cooperate with engineering and product development teams to produce solutions and strategies for complex business problems. Okay, and develop predictive models and machine learning algorithms. So it's a like you know data scientist is undergoing a two-way complexities, and it's not an easy job for any data scientist to go through this. Okay, that is the reason why any data scientist will have a good, I mean, people pay attention towards a data scientist because he is the one, he is the core person, knows the end-to-end flow of any business, and he'll be involved in a lot of techniques and to get the data techniques and all. Okay, and then moving on to the next slide. So why people often underestimate data scientists. So now you got to know the major roles of RPA developer and the data scientist. So what if RPA developers work with data scientists, and it will it will actually facilitate more creative solutions to complex business problems than working separately. Okay, so why is the reason behind underestimating the data scientists? So as you can see, there are mainly four main reasons companies underestimate the value of data scientists. Number one, so their business value is hard to articulate. So this is because according to they went a survey in 2020. So it is called Anaconda Data Science Survey. So fewer than half, 48% of data scientists feel they can demonstrate the impact of data science on business outcomes. So it's like half of the people. It's not like a single digit percentage. It's like more than half. So so this is one of the reason. And if you see the next one, RO is expensive. So here, data scientists who are already expensive, because if you want to hire them, you have to pay more. So they often need more resources than companies are willing to invest. Okay. There is this person named Jeremy. He works in UiPath. So he's a machine learning product manager. So, and he's also a former data scientist. So once he left the company because it didn't have the resource to get the machine learning model into production. So that's one of the reasons. So you're paying more and you're hiring that person, but at end of the day, he's leaving the company just like that because it is not having any resource to get that machine learning model. So this company is losing them. So it's losing the it's a cost expensive is more. It's a cost impact. So that is one of the reason. And moving on to the next one. So their work does not deliver value without collaboration. Like getting data scientist outputs into production where they can impact a business is not always straightforward. So like data scientists need a cross organizational support to succeed. As I was mentioning this Jeremy, so he what according to him, machine learning models alone can't and don't do anything. Okay, they must work in conjunction with other teams and be included as a part of a large projects to be successful. So so I'm just trying to give you a hint. It's going to be a collaborating with other teams. It's not only the data science can play the role of what they wanted to be. So they want some collaboration. Okay, so this is what he so based upon his survey, also Jeremy concluded this. Okay, and then the next one is much of their effort goes toward invisible work. There is a tweet. You can see the screenshot. So what she's trying to tell. So the story of enterprise machine learning. Okay, it took me 3 weeks to develop the model. It's been more than 11 months and it's still not deployed. So I think you can understand how frustrated data scientists are, because this is again based upon a survey that went again. Like I mentioned, the Anaconda survey that went in 2020. 45% of this data scientists spend their time preparing data, loading, cleaning the data, and before it goes into the data model or visualization. So they're spending more time. But this can be immensely frustrating for data scientists because it's not going to production and it's not deployed, and it took more than 11 months based upon the below screenshot that you can see. So it's really frustrating because end of the day, when you are working so hard and then if it is not deployed to live, so anybody will go frustrated. So this is one of the reason. So that's the reason often companies will underestimate the data scientist. So if you combine all of these four reasons, so companies obviously will tend to underestimate and they underutilize their data scientists. Okay, and then moving on to the next. So RPA developers misunderstand data scientists too. Okay. So why RPA developers? So earlier it was a misunderstanding. I mean, the underestimation was made by the companies. And here, why RPA developers misunderstand data scientists? So if you can see this, the mindsets of RPA developers and data scientists are tend to be different because they have different workflows and also different timelines. When your workflow diverges, your mindset will too. Okay, this is natural, but it also makes it difficult for these teams to communicate across departments, creating silos. Okay, and if you look at the flow chart, if you look at this, take a look at it, and it provides a good example. Okay, so this is more on intelligent automation, and that breaks down this RPA and machine learning flows into two different charts. Okay, look in particular at how the RPA developer focuses on writing the rules, and where in the data scientist focuses on training the ML models. Okay, actually, if you look at it, both the teams starts by studying. Okay, and both will evaluate, launch and analyze, and analyze errors and their solutions. So the start of this studying, by the both of the teams, it's almost the same. Okay, but RPA developer typically shifts their strategy once they encounter environmental changes, whereas the data scientist typically funnel the feedback, like whatever the feedback that he receives into data that further trains their machine learning models. Okay, so this might seem a small, like it is a small difference at first glance, but the difference is that it cascades once you zoom out, and look at the timelines. So it's all about the timelines. It's not like it's a small step, small difference, but timelines matters more. And the time horizon of complex problem solving and the kind data scientists are best suited to tackle is that for example, any data scientist will take more months, like I was mentioning in the about week. So it will take more time, like sometimes 3 weeks, sometimes 4 weeks, depending upon the data that you have and the complexity that you're facing. So it might take at least 6 months sometimes. So here the data scientists will take more time to analyze all this data. But when it comes to the RPA developers, they instead tend to use agile workflows and measuring progress in terms of weeks. Like this means like RPA developers immersed in these faster workflows tend to think in terms of quick solutions. Okay, whereas the data scientists tend to drift toward more exploratory projects. So that's the major difference between the RPA developers and the data science. That is one of the reasons why RPA developers often misunderstand the data scientists. So based on, I hope you understand the difference between these two flow charts. So there might be a slight difference, but the timelines will impact more. Okay. And moving on to the next slide. So how two teams complement each other. So their actually the RPA developer and the data scientist skill sets might be different, but actually they are complementary. So like when the leaders align RPA developers and data scientists, the benefits they can deliver to the organization are greater in number, like the combination of these two things. So any RPA developer can automate a lot more complex processes working with a data scientist than they can work alone. Like we saw in the above example, where the creating the invoices, like we're trying to automate the manual process. Like that, there are too many manual processes which data scientists might be doing. So if RPA developer can help the data scientist in automating that manual process, then the job of any data scientist will be easy. So you don't need to spend too much of time, because once you're automating using the bots, so you can get rid of the manual process. So once that is done, any data scientist, if they working with RP developer, the work will get faster, and you can focus even better than ever before. Okay. Despite the gap we have described like before, RPA developers and data scientists, they are actually speak the same language, I can say, or at least in order to code it. Because if you look at the RPA tools that we have in the current market, we have Automation Anywhere, we have UiPath, so Blue Prism. So I was showing an example of Blue Prism, where you may not need coding knowledge, but when it comes to the Automation Anywhere, you might need some coding language, which even the data scientists can understand. So it's they can understand their languages. So that's one added advantage in between these two things. So you don't need to, it's not like if you it depends upon the tool that you choose. So flowchart, it's nothing but flowchart can be understood by anyone. But when it comes to some programming language, so data scientists can understand these languages very easily, whatever the RPA developer had been built. Okay. And RPA developers, they're already indicating they wanted to learn more about data science adjacent topics. Like, one good example is, it's even I was one of the person where, I wanted to learn RPA. So when I started learning the Blue Prism, and then it was it just after that, what is next? So obviously I wanted to learn data science. So this kind of indicating if this kind of changes happens, obviously RPA developers can also involve more into data science. So these are the adjacent topics, but you can learn something. And the impact of this RPA on employee experience, more than 80% of the RPA developers indicated they wanted to learn about this artificial intelligence or machine learning. So this happens in real time. So everybody wants to upgrade themselves. It's not like we wanted to stick to the same tool or same kind of job role. So they wanted to upgrade. So if you keep upgrading, you learn more. So it's you can see it's not like the gap is invisible to data scientists either. Some research shows the data scientists spend almost half their time on problems that RPA developers can solve better and faster. Okay, because they are going to automate that process, so they can do much better than that, much better than data scientists. Like you remember, like as per the survey that I was talking about. So this 45%, they were trying to spend time on getting the data ready before they could use it to develop models and visualization. So it's like time taking. So they to avoid this. So let's all sum up this. So like RP developers and data scientists can communicate in some common language. This is one of the a good thing. And next it is like RPA developers wanted to learn they wanted to learn about some implementing the data science. So it is also a good thing, because you're trying to understand the role of the data scientist, what he's going to do. So if you're trying to understand, then the complexity will be minimal. And also this data scientists, they're often stuck doing their work RPA developers could be helping with. So like I was mentioning before, So they'll be always spending their time to getting the data before they move it to the data modeling. Sorry, before they're moving to the developing the model. So these kind of jobs can be avoided by, if they get help from the RPA developers, they can easily get rid of this complex situations. So this is how we can actually complement these teams, each other. So here, majorly, the leaders will be playing the major role, because the potential outcomes of these teams can be built only if the leaders can understand the complexity and give the proper roles to the teams. Okay. Then moving on to the next. So how are we going to break down the wall between data science and RPA teams? And again here, if like I was mentioning before, so leaders can actually break down these barriers, okay? Because they can unlock massive opportunities for the companies. And when data scientists have a problem, RPA developers can come to the rescue. Okay, even inside some big data points, like out two major problems like data scientists that tend to have. So data scientists tend not to have labeled training data to teach their learning models, and also they don't want, they tend to have to use theoretical data from some data sets instead of data from real use cases. Okay, this is also one of the major problems that data scientists faces in the big data. And also this is where, like, the RPA developers will come pitch in, and they can benefit the data scientists, like by creating, you can see that by creating metadata. So metadata is nothing but they can software the robots. They can especially when complemented with process mining and the leave trials of data as they complete the task, and also the masking process more understandable for data scientists. So these kind of jobs can be done by the RPA developers. And the next point is like accessing the legacy systems. So software robots are working with legacy systems and accessible the data that used to be trapped in old tools. So because RPA developers will get access to all the tools where the process is involved. So that is one added advantage which data scientists will never get. So they can while they can look into the old tools as well where the process was happening before, and so they can get access to those old the legacy systems, and then build the boards as per that. And the next thing is making data usable. So generally RPA developers can decompose big data sets into usable components. They can just shorten the data. They can organize it. Like I was showing the blue prism, you might be seeing the flow charts. So we can organize the flow charts and label and clean these disparate pieces of data into some whole bunch. Okay, so this can be done by the RPA developers. But when it comes to the data scientists, but it's not going to be that easy for them. You cannot organize the data as much as RPA developer can do that. So it's because here at a high level, RPA developer will be choosing it a big chunk into small chunks. Okay, but when it comes to the data scientist, he needs to analyze that big chunk. Okay, he cannot just divide it into small pieces. That's a difficult job for data scientists compared to RPA developer. And the next one is implementing ready-made AI models. Like, many machine learning and artificial intelligence users are not novel. Okay, and instead of data scientists building models from scratch, RPA developers can deploy pre-existing modules just like that. Okay, and the next one is using auto machine learning to save time. So even RPA developers can use auto machine learning to find which predictive model is the most accurate, and also to ensure the data scientists don't have to make a test multiple models for the given any use case. Okay, this frees actually the data scientists to work on more challenging tasks. Okay. So these are the benefits I can say. It's combined, not only make the lives of the data scientists either, but also helps them accomplish um, more than they could previously. So next, let's move on to the next. So we have this RPA and data science adoption map. If you look into this adoption map, so this actually I created this simple map. So this intending, to visualize organizations journeys on the road to true intelligent automation. So how it actually leads. Okay. So the first one is going to be the low RPA and low machine learning. So here, this box actually represents organizations that are still skeptical about these two toolkits. Maybe they don't see the needs of the technologies for their industries, or they simply prefer to wait for the other results. So I can say some startup companies, they is a good example for this, because organizations conducting some pilot cases for both RPA and data scientists are mapped here. So this will be fall under this category. So even some projects, like many projects, like which are in incubation period and not yet released to the entire organization. So, like, at this point in time, they can be classified as laggards. So they don't want to just pitch into this RPA or any machine learning language. So this is one of the category. And coming on to the high RPA and low machine learning. So here the corporations mapped in this part are usually they are conservative, and they would like to pursue the stable path. So they have successfully onboarded their employees on RPA training, like working together with some legal and compliances, all the stuff, and possess the right infrastructure and experts. So they invest more on RPA developers than the machine learning, because RPA is just a straightforward technology, and that can be explained to the people, while the data science, especially machine learning, and we have deep learning. So it still sounds mysterious because and difficult to understand. So RPA can produce results quickly with measurable KPIs, I can say. So thus this is a low hanging fruit that is easy to capture and highly cost effective. Okay, there are companies which falls under this category. Okay, and moving on to the next one, high machine learning and low RPA. Yeah, low RPA. So here, this is a again an interesting area where this organization that belong here do not necessarily neglect the existence of the RPA developers, because they wanted to invest more on the data scientists. It doesn't mean that they wanted to neglect the RPA developers. So because it's a RPAs, as I mentioned, it's a straightforward technology. It also means everyone can understand how it works. Workers are afraid of being replaced, and this has already happened in many places. So thus, if any institution does not have an acceptable plan or how to get everyone's support, it can be a rocky journey. Okay. On the other hand, advanced analytics capabilities of these institutions have been built up since they have evolved from other departments like communication, marketing, and sales. So from these departments they will be evolved, and the data, even the scientists, analytics engineers in this organization are likely to focus on both descriptive and the predictive tasks, but stay within their respective departments to support at a high level decision making process. So this is just a nature of I can say the data science project. It's not like they are doing it intentionally. I guess it's just the nature of these data science projects in many industries. Like for most of the time, the results will need a long time to be validated. But and I mean, yeah, they would need a little time. It's not like, but the outcomes will be, the cases will be like segmentation and or forecasting. The outcomes will be in a good it will be in a good shape, I can say. Okay, and next, the final one, it is like high machine learning and high RPA. So, like you can see, it's high machine learning and high RPA. So, this sounds actually it's like a gold standard for enterprises. So, because as of 2020, I believe there are some corporations out there. They have already reached this level, this standard. Okay, they have built up their advanced analytics and automation task force with some success. I can say Google is one of the best company, even Amazon, some top companies, Walmart. So they are already implementing this. It is in picture. They make use of the data scientists and RPA developers because they you can see they are in a good shape. We can say they all predict they can predict how a business can be run in a good shape. And one good example I can say is, when you're booking a flight, so they can predict. So you might be receiving some notification saying that the flight has been cancelled. So this kind of information, if you're receiving, so they can predict it and they can send that messages. So this all will happen. It's not a manual process. So they created bots over there. So using RPA developers, so they can send the emails across all the across the world, so that this flight has been cancelled and this flight is available on so and so time. So how these predictions happen is because there are a collaboration where this kind of top companies, I can say, they collaborate with these good teams like RT developers, data scientists, and other collaborative teams where they play a major role. So if the collaboration is happening properly, then you can see the good outcomes. So that's one good example. Okay, it's not only the data science department helps to develop some cognitive models, while the RPA department also rolls out their bots for testing. So some feed that results back in the loop to train the machine learning modules. It will be a smart work. So that's the reason why we might need some collaboration between these teams. It's not only the RPA and the data science; it can be any team. But majorly, if these two combines, collaborates, the outcome will be, it will be marvelous, I can say. And moving on to the next, so we have some design pillars in this. There are some 4 design pillars in this era. So the first one is like standardization. So standardization is nothing but you might want to establish some standards. If you are establishing some standards, then you will be in a success rate. Okay, so like the creating and maintaining of the RPA bots and machine learning scripts, you have to follow some standards. Then only you can achieve this. And the next one is a modularization. So modularization is nothing but you can decompose projects and scripts um, into some functional into some functional modules, which allow some you might be removing something, and you can be replacing with whatever you remove, so you can be replacing with some other else. So this modularization is very important in any company, because every company does this. It's not like you're going to stick to only one tool forever. So you have to keep on removing and replacing with multiple tools that are available in the market. So with this modularization, a change in the scripts or it may affect only a small part of the entire project. So just for example, if you consider any .NET or any project, so some .NET project if you're working on, you'll be working on a older version. So when the new version comes into picture, you'll be moving to the new version. There you don't need to majorly change the entire scripts. Also, only the small chunks of code you might need to focus on, and you might need to upgrade as per the new version. So if you are not upgrading at some point of time, the old version, you will be losing that. So you will not have access to the old version anymore. So you have to keep upgrading this. Similarly, even data scientists and RPA developers also does the same thing. But when it comes to these two roles, the impact is more, because they play the business roles where other teams may not be playing the business roles. But the collaboration happens with these two teams. But at a high level, we can say these two roles are playing the major business roles compared to other teams. And then the automation, as we know, we already know that automation is again a big process, and it is going to make our work easy, like just repeat automating these repetitive tasks. And so that will be like, it can be anything, like when it comes to the data scientist role. So data acquisition, some output formats, and some data manipulation. So these kind of areas a developer can focus, and they can automate this process. And also the scalability. So ensure that the scalability after fulfilling these other three pillars. So to perform this stress level test with different scenarios and infrastructure, and optimize some resources. So the scalability is very much required. So without that, it's impossible to measure. Okay. So these are the I can say the design pillars of this data scientist and RPA developer success rate. Okay, next, let us look into the use cases which you can collaborate here. So if you take a look at this two, we are going to discuss about two different use cases. So the first one is the forecasting reports every week. So if you can take a look at this middle portion, and the left hand side and right hand side, we have divided it into three parts. So where you receive the input. So for example, here, if you wanted to forecast the reports every week, the first step it would be like you will be receiving a lot of inputs over here. So this RPA department, they wanted to create a board. So the left hand side, so this will be taken care by the RPA department, because they create boards. They'll gather the data into some consolidated place. They will get the inputs from this in-house database, communication channels, and the historical data. So they gather all this information and consolidate, and try to they'll create the bots and put it in one place. So once this is done, next the data scientist, what he actually does, so he'll pick that information, and he'll be creating a lot of reports, like we discussed about the Tableau tools and Power BI. So using those powerful tools, he will create the reports, and he will generate the forecast. So because the first process, it's done by the RPA developers, and this will make data scientist job very easy. He don't need to focus on the data models or anything. So he just need to focus on generating the forecast. So because we end of the day, we need forecasting reports every week. So that has to be done very quickly and accurately. So in order to do that, here data scientist is taking help from the RPA developer, and he is trying to create a reports. And the end of the day, after he create the reports, so again the again the RPA developer comes pitch in here. So he will be sending an emails to different departments, like client departments, board members, and BA dashboard. So that will be deployed. In the sense, it will be deployed to live. So if you are sending to the client departments or BI dashboard or board members, in the sense, it's going live. So here again, the RPA developer is helping the data scientist. It is not the job of data scientist to send the reports, because anybody can be sent the reports. But here, the major role of any data scientist is he needs to create the reports based upon the inputs that he received through the data warehouse. So that accurate data will be generating only when RPA developer is also helping the data scientist. So this is one good example where they collaborate and help each other. So in order to move it to the live as early as possible. But only this task is done by only data scientist, then it will be a hectic for him, and it is time taking. And moving on to the next slide. So here, if you can see the summarize and report. So here, this use case, it's like, I can say it's an extension of the above use case, where here the business client, he wants to have all the communication like in the channels or materials summarized, analyzed, and put it into some respective templates. Like some templates, I can say, some financial reports, some newsletters, some topic specific formats like that, and dashboards of the KPS viewing. So this RPA department, what it does, it will take care of all the inputs and output flow, while the data scientist department builds natural language processing, something like, using some scripts to work on the requirements. So after testing the solutions for this analysis and this text classifications, the data science team can integrate their machine learning modules into RPA flows. So the RPA team only needs to customize the inputs and outputs of these modules to work properly. Here you can see, right? So the left hand side and right hand side. Also, so he'll focus on input and output flows. So the rest of the things that will be taken care by the machine learning. I mean the data scientist team or machine learning team. So potentially, so if they provide them to be interactive, the feedback link will be a good feedback, and workflow it will go in a proper shape. Okay, so here this is also one good example, I can say, where the collaboration happens and with a good communication. So the next, coming on to the conclusion, I just wanted to so going forward, like, you understood, I hope you understood how important if the collaboration happens in between these two departments. So there are many ways even for organizations to start their digitalization journeys, and one to establish data science and process automation departments. However, to ensure collaboration between these two departments and institutions might need some to define some clear responsibilities, and to get the right people on the board and enforce common working frameworks. So it's all about the skill sets that any institutions might look forward. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the session. So this is quite interesting because the future is going to change, and we might need to. So there are areas where people might lose jobs. It's not like I'm going to give the negative vibe, but it's going to be a good thing because you are knowing what is your future is going to be, and it can be predictive. So let's focus on the RPA tools, learning and upgrading ourselves. So this is a good area of learning, and it is not mandatorily like have to work who is coming from the computer science or any background. Anybody can learn this. So this I can say I just wanted to conclude my session. So yeah, that's all.
Thank you, Megha.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. We just have one question, but we are sort of over time. If you can answer it really quickly, how do you see the evolvement of RPA in the coming years?
So it just started, I can say. The growth is drastically increasing because majorly people are using it in BPO sector to automate the process of the day-to-day activities. So even the financial teams, and maybe they can replace the HR activities as well. So it's increasing. I can say, like I said, right now they don't want to invest because they're highly expensive. So that's the reason why it just started now, but it drastically increases. That is for sure. Like how data scientists are playing the major role. So similar way, the RPA also is going to change the future. So that is for sure, because it's a robotic world. It's going to come, right? So that's one good thing I can say.
All right. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Megha.
Yeah, thank you so much. If anyone is having any questions, you can. I think we have just a minute left. Sorry about that. Okay, thank you all.